Hello and welcome back to the Summoner's Guide to Final Fantasy XIV, and we are now in Stormblood content. The first dungeon of the Stormblood story unlocks at level 61 and sinks to level 62. It is the Sirensong Sea. I really like this dungeon, and it's really a shame that it is a level 61 dungeon, and therefore gear really isn't relevant if you've gotten all the tome gear, because it's a lot of fun. Alright, well, because we are synced at 62, we now have the new level 62 summoner ability. It's actually... it's Ruin 4, but Ruin 4 works a little differently than the previous Ruin spells. That you can't cast it at will. Instead, it has a potential of becoming available and replacing your Ruin 2 spell every time your pet uses an action. So, you're going to want to always keep an eye on your Ruin 2, which I currently have sitting on my hotbar. You could see your Ruin 2 replaced by Ruin 4, or potentially you'll see the buff show up in your on your buff list. Either of those things will indicate that you have a Ruin 4 cast ready to go. Okay, that's... I haven't seen a Ruin 4 proc yet, but as soon as I do, I'll point it out. It's really entirely luck-based. And based on how often your pet is acting, of course. Alright, once you've fought off the first waves of enemies here on the boat, you'll crash up against the rock here. There we go. In my buff list, you should now see a buff counting down from 25 seconds. That's further Ruin. I can now use a casting of Ruin 4. Oh, and it procced again, so I can use it again. Again, sometimes you're just going to see that thing proc time after time after time, like right now. And sometimes it'll be a very long time between castings of Ruin 4. But when you have Ruin 4, you should use it in place of Ruin 3, of course. Wonder if we're going to have this pull established by the time I can cast Ruin 4. Love the music in this dungeon too. It's just a variant on the Nausea theme. Okay, so we should be at the first boss. Yes. For For this boss, really, in order to properly dodge all of its attacks, the best thing you can do is be kind of right up here. Come on, target. There we go. Alright, you know what I need to do? I need to zoom my camera out. Again, there's really nothing terribly complicated about this fight. It's just dodging various mechanics. And if you stay close to the boss, most of the mechanics are going to be very easy to dodge. And just keep an eye out as you're fighting here for your Ruin 4 procs. Again, those are going to be preferable to a Ruin 3. And you have 30 seconds to use your Ruin 4 when it procs, but the earlier you use it, the more likely you are to get another one, because they don't stack. Now, this being the first dungeon of the new expansion, they didn't make it terribly difficult, because there were a lot of players who hadn't been playing for a while that returned to play the Stormblood content, so this was kind of a nice remind you how to play the game dungeon. Of course, for those who are just going straight from Heavensward content into Stormblood content, this is going to seem fairly easy compared to some of the later level 60 dungeons. I need that. I might be convinced to roll on some of this stuff for glamour, but Belt doesn't glamour, so... So our tank is going to pull everything up to, I hope, up to that deck up there. Because you may have noticed the AoEs that are hitting various places as you go up. But I've noticed that some places do tend to be safer than others. And this upper deck here does tend to be a place where you're not as likely to get hit by all those puddles that keep dropping. As long as the tank actually places everything up on this upper deck, this is a lot easier to pull, because having to dodge all those AoE fields that keep dropping down there can be a challenge. Just know that there are safe spaces you can get to that'll keep you from getting hurt by those. need those either. Again, pretty much everything you have in here is going to get this done. It's going to be lower level than what you would have by getting fully upgraded tome gear. But if you don't have fully upgraded tome gear, then this might not be a bad place to gear up. Skinless Skipper is the bigger threat. It's a little more powerful. Okay. So now we can take on the second boss. The Governor. Hello, Governor. Okay, yes, that was a very bad joke. But we're using it anyway. Now, the Governor... Okay, I'll stop doing that. The Governor is going to be... It's a slightly trickier boss fight. Shadow Flow. He's going to put up shields of ick that you obviously don't want to be in. Fairly simple mechanic. That'll get a little more complicated as the fight goes on. Enter Knight. He's going to target somebody and tether them. If you get tethered, you'll be pulled into the middle. You'll want to run away from him as far as you can to break the tether. The tether is going to hurt you. Alright, Shadow Split. He's going to put up a bunch of the smaller shadows that are untargetable, but they're going to make this mechanic a little harder to dodge. As you can see, there are fewer safe regions. So really, the two things you got to worry about: find a safe zone when he makes the floor ick. If you get targeted with Enter Knight, you'll be pulled in and immediately run yourself away as fast as you can to keep from getting hurt by the tether. And those are really, as a caster, the two mechanics that are going to be bothering you. Alright, Shadow Split, so he's going to be looking to do another one of those big ol' AoEs. Watch where the shadows go, because that's where the dangerous spots are going to be. Probably going to be done before this becomes an issue. Yep. Again, I may roll on something that looks like good glamour gear, but I'm not going to roll on accessories. Because I have better accessories just from tomes. Alright. just a couple more pulls here. This really isn't a very long dungeon. Making larger pulls here, because this is a leveling dungeon, and therefore level sync does become an issue. And some of these enemies actually do hit pretty hard. So I've seen some brave souls try to make larger pulls here, but for the most part, most tanks that I've played with tend to play this fairly conservatively. That Undead Warden in particular, as I recall, is a fairly big hitter. Refresh my dots. There we go. That just for I'll pull that for potential glamour. Always looking for new and interesting outfits for Violet. Again, this is another one where you could potentially pull this group to the next enemy, because there's really only one enemy in the next pull. But again, most tanks I run with tend to play this a lot more conservatively. So if a tank wants to play this conservatively, let them. I have tried to run this as a tank before, and have played conservatively, and have had impatient DPS try to pull other enemies in toward me, and then I get myself killed because the healer's not ready to heal me for that much. So don't do that. If the tank doesn't want to make a big pull, don't force the tank to make a big pull. Alright, just one more enemy, and then the boss. Try to stay a little farther away here, just because of a couple of mechanics that show up in this particular pull. I know it exists. There it is, Seductive Scream. That move should be interrupted. And it was. It's probably why I didn't see it before. I may have gotten interrupted before I even noticed it. Seductive Scream will cause everybody to approach the boss, as it then uses its next move, which is a point-blank AoE. Try not to get hit, and you will get hit by that. If you notice it coming up, and there's nobody able to interrupt it, get far away, so that when you're pulled in, you won't actually get into range of the boss prior to the resolution of the attack. Now this is an interesting little boss, and oh by the way, I love the Stormblood boss music. Alright. So, Version Tears will cast a bunch of water puddles around the room. You don't want to stand in those under any circumstances. She'll then use either Morbid Advance or Morbid Retreat. This will force you to walk in a certain direction for a certain period of time. You want to be facing in a direction that Advance or Retreat will not... Shoot, I missed my death flare. You want to be in a position so that the Advance or Retreat will not put you into a puddle. Advance will make you walk forward relative to where you're standing, and Retreat will make you walk backward. So I'm going to face this way, and note that my walk will not get me into a puddle. Alright, retreat. I'm going to face this way. And that's really the main mechanic you're going to be worrying about for the entirety of this fight. It does get more complicated, as now you see a ring on the outside, so you can't count on just walking into the wall, as now you're going to be walking into a puddle if you do that. So now I'm going to position myself like this, so that I walk just far enough to get into the puddle. Shoot. I thought I was going to be safe there. But as you can see, I was not in the puddle for very long. So walk through puddles. Alright. And she's going to use Advance. So I'm going to come this way and turn and face. Hopefully this will be just enough space that I won't actually run into a puddle. Ah! There we go. you have it. There is Sirensong C, one of my favorites. I really do like dungeons in Stormblood, and I hope you will too. So, next up is going to be Shisui of the Violet Tides. Another great little dungeon. And until then, have a wonderful day.